Thinking about rebranding your business? There's a good chance it won't fix the problems you think it will. Most businesses don't have a branding problem. They have a positioning problem. You look at your brand and you think, this doesn't feel right anymore. This isn't who we are. We've outgrown this. And the first instinct is we need a rebrand. A rebrand isn't about how your business looks. It's about how your business is positioned. If you've ever looked at your brand and thought, this doesn't feel right anymore, then this episode is for you. Today we're going to break down when a rebrand actually makes sense, why most of them fail, and how to approach it in a way that actually drives growth. Over 90% of you who are watching this podcast right now aren't actually subscribed to the podcast, and we share conversations like this every single week. If you're serious about building a business that grows, make sure you're subscribed. Hi guys, welcome back for episode 59. So, why do most rebrands actually fail?
Well, they tend to fail usually because most businesses approach rebranding just at the surface level, meaning that they think about like their logo, their colours, their fonts, their web design. That's if they even think about all those things. And those things are important elements about branding. But some of the main things that they always ignore in most cases is their positioning and their messaging and their customer clarity, and of course their ICP, who is it that they're actually trying to target. The problem itself is they might change how it looks in terms of the logo and the branding and the colours and that kind of stuff, but what they don't do is they don't change how it works, because let's be honest, a new logo won't fix a broken offer or a broken service,
Yeah. When you're thinking about brand, it needs to be, like you mentioned, you need to focus on the positioning of the business, focus on the messaging to your ideal customer profile so that it's not just generic messaging, or it's not messaging that you would send to an 18-year-old when your demographic is 40-year-olds,
Yeah.
You need to really understand your customer journey in this point so that everything aligns with that and it positions you in the market correctly.
Well, that's the whole point of positioning, is they need to understand what it is that they want to be known for and where it is that they will need to be positioned. I
Yeah.
mean, we're going through a rebrand at the moment as well because we've kind of outgrown our 16-year current brand because we no longer do the tactical stuff, because marketing and sales and business itself and the way things are done, especially with the advent of AI and things, is done differently now. And what we do is because we focus on an end-to-end kind of service. That's not what we used to do like 16 years ago when
Yeah.
it was just some web design and a little bit of SEO and a little bit of this and a little bit of that, which is what a lot of advertising agencies and marketing agencies do.
Yeah. Well, I think the whole digital landscape has evolved so much. So it just only makes sense for Adonis Media to say goodbye and for Buderia to say hello and for us to move in that new direction.
Yeah, 100%, and it's going to become exciting to be honest. Now the thing is, with rebranding, like a lot of businesses rebrand too early before they've actually built anything else stable around the business in terms of their offer. Because they generally haven't validated their offer, which we have. They don't understand their customers, which we do, and they've not proven their messaging. And all of those need to be in line with who it is that they're actually trying to target.
Yeah.
And if they do that, you generally find that they've changed direction too quickly, and that will just not solve the problem.
This also comes down to thinking that when you don't have a defined offer, you tend to just blame everything else around that's included in the business. Like, for instance, the brand, the logo, if the logo looked like this, I would have bagged that 30K job or whatever. But that's not what's ultimately driving the force.
No, of course not. I mean, obviously, your logo is a bit of brand mark. It's about the rememberability of your
Yeah.
brand. Nike. When you see the Nike swoosh, it's Nike without actually having the word Nike. That's what branding is all about. Now, if businesses brand too early, it causes confusion instead of clarity. You know, so the better approach for businesses to take, including us, is to build first and refine later. You know, you need to validate what you're actually trying to do. You need to validate that you are actually attracting the right people, your
Yeah.
ICP, your buyer personas. You need to test your messaging. You need to make sure that you're attracting the right ICP to you. Because let's be honest, we've all been there, and I'm sure a lot of other businesses know how bad life can be where you've not got the right ICP or right buyer persona or right the people that you want to work with working with
Yeah.
you, and all of that's down to your brand.
And sometimes rebranding feels productive in the moment when you're going through it all. It's exciting, but it actually avoids the real problem. So instead of fixing your sales, your offer, or your delivery, you focus on the visual changes, the brand refreshes, new messaging, and rebranding becomes a way to delay those hard decisions. To go in and say your sales process is actually pretty crap. You need to refine that. Can be like change is scary.
It's
And I think,
difficult, yeah.
yeah, and any business growth is scary. So rebranding often feels like you're being productive when you're not.
Yeah, but the thing is, I mean, you'll probably find that most businesses, when there's an issue in their business, whether it's sales or a bottleneck of some sort, or it could be a siloed function problem between marketing and sales, or it could be the gaps in the fragmentation between the maybe different functions of the software or whatever it is. A lot of when you're actually in the weeds and you're in the business, it's sometimes difficult for you to see what those problems are because sometimes they just seem to blend into everything else that you're doing that day. And that's where our governance system comes in because it knows what needs to happen at what point throughout that entire system.
Yeah.
But I mean, just going in and changing your logo certainly isn't going to help you with your sales process if your sales process is broken,
No.
or your marketing isn't actually attracting the right quality of prospects or leads, or you're not getting the right traffic to your website.
Yeah. So I want to pause for a second because this is the key shift. A rebrand should reflect growth in your business, it shouldn't replace it. So when a rebrand actually makes sense is when you've outgrown your positioning. So, like we mentioned, like how we're currently going through, Adonis Media started when what websites started to become a thing. Obviously, it was perfect designing before then.
Yeah, it's perfect design and first, and in 2010 we rebranded to Adonis Media, which the whole point of Adonis Media was within the logo we had the Adonis blue butterfly, and the Adonis blue butterfly is found in southeast England, and it was supposed to signify transformation and growth, which it does, and it's a beautiful little butterfly, etc., etc. But while we still kind of do the transformation and growth, the media part of it was more about the tactics behind helping clients win more work and things like that. So that's like your advertising, your SEO, your web design, and this kind of stuff. And those kind of
Yeah.
services, you still get this from a lot of agencies and web design companies where their services are kind of fragmented as well, where you can go to them and they'll give you one part of it. And in a lot of cases, what I see with a lot of these kind of agencies as well is when they're building a website for you, they ask you for the customer for the content, but the chances are that that customer could be a bricklayer, they could be a software engineer or something like that. Chances are they're not going to understand, what it is that they need to write in their pages. So, and then that just
Yeah.
leads to more problems. So, yeah,
Yeah. So we went from obviously offering those media services to tactics when the website sort of side of stuff became relevant. And now it's advanced so much to the point where we had to pivot. And this happens when your business evolves. So you've outgrown your positioning, you've got new services, different clients, higher pricing, but your brand still reflects where you started. So when perception doesn't match reality, your growth will be slower. And that's a time where you need to rebrand.
Well, if you think about it, honest media, I mean, we're trying to sell like a revenue system to B2B and complex B2B sales environments and things. When they see the word of media, people automatically think in tactical
Yeah,
view
or
rather
social media.
rather than being strategic. And then what they basically do is they put you into the same bundle as every other marketing agency out there, as if you're just the same as everybody else. But what we've done is we've built a moat around us, and we've built our own growth platform, which will be launched even more so with the new brand Blood Area. And that you can't get that anywhere else. That's ours. So, in order for us to show the value and help our customers understand exactly who we are and what we do, we had to pivot, reposition, remessage, define our ICPs, and we are now in that kind of validation space now where we're starting to post on LinkedIn to bring on clients, and it's working well for us so far.
And signs of this is like wrong type of leads, pricing resistance, confused prospects. If your brand reflects your past, then it's going to limit your future.
100%.
The second thing is you're attracting the wrong customers. So we've talked about this in multiple podcast episodes, but your marketing brings in low quality leads, misaligned clients, price sensitive buyers, which are the worst to deal with. And this often comes from unclear positioning. So that rebrand can help you refocus your audience, clarify your message, and filter to the right clients. It's a lot better to have 10 of the best clients in the world than 100 of a pain in the asses.
100%, totally 100%. And that's why it's so important to understand who your ICP is. And one of the big things when you're, and this is something that I had to grapple with as well, when you've been for 24 years doing one specific thing, um, or you're used to working in that tactical type of phase, and you're used to people looking for, I need SEO, or I need web design, or I need this, or I need that, to actually change what it is what your offer is, uh, rebrand, and actually change your own kind of thinking, from that tactical phase to the more strategic way of working, and especially when you're speaking to different types of people with your ICP. And we're now talking to revenue leaders and founders and CEOs and things like that, rather than wee Bob round the corner who's got a bricklaying company that lays bricks all day.
Yeah.
There's a big difference there, and that takes a lot of education and self-discovery, I suppose.
Yeah. Another reason why you should be rebranding is if you lack differentiation. Your business sounds just like everyone else. We help businesses grow, or we do ads. Okay. This will end up leading to competition on price, long sales cycles, and low trust. And the competition on price is probably the biggest one, because they'll go, oh, well, I can get it from Bob down the road for $500. Why are you charging me 3K when he's like doing the same thing? So then you're like, oh, I'll do it for $450 just to try and get that work. But then you end up overworking yourself and underpaying yourself.
Yeah, so basically that's just a quick grapple to the bottom of the barrel, really,
Yeah.
and that's not what you want to do. And the thing is, if you don't have something different and you can't differentiate, then I would suggest that maybe you need to take a long, hard look at your business, and really try and understand what does make you different, because everybody's different. You might do something similar to somebody else, but the way that you do it might be different. And you need to, at that point, you need to try and look at, intellectual property. Is my process better than what everybody else's is, like ours is, for instance? Is our platform better than HubSpot or whatever, or another CRM? No, I mean, I'm not trying to say anything like it, but I think it is, I mean, with the tools and things that are out there now in comparison to our governed system, we're helping drive millions within the first 12 months. I've never seen that with any other tool out there. Most of the other tools take you about a year just to get your business onto using it. But yeah, so it's absolutely important to sharpen your position and your point of view and your uniqueness, and just so that you're not like everybody else, And because if you are like everybody else, then you'll be compared to everyone else. And if you're charging more, then people will probably vote with their feet. If it's not, if it seems like you're just providing the same kind of service.
Yeah. Now, to be clear, this isn't saying that rebranding is a bad idea, because it can be very positive, and obviously we're going through a rebrand right now, but the difference is why you're doing it. A good rebrand isn't reactive. It's not, oh, we're bored of how this looks, or we need something fresh, or we just want to update the website. A strong rebrand is intentional, it's strategic, it's based on clarity. And, we're not rebranding because things aren't working. We're rebranding because we're clearer on what actually does, and what we do, and what we want to do, and how we want to be perceived by our clients.
That's right. And get a good rebrand doesn't invent the business. It just makes the right parts easier to understand for your clients and yourself. Even looking at like narrowing your niche and focusing on a particular client can help your business grow exponentially rather than just trying to be a generalist to everybody else. And that can make a big difference as well. And you see a lot of agencies, especially now with advent AI, where they're now starting to pivot. I mean, apart from the fact that we're getting inundated with a billion AI experts every single day now, which I'm sure will calm down eventually. But a lot of general agencies are now starting to pivot towards honing in and becoming a specialist in a particular niche or a particular product. And that's what a lot of HubSpot agencies have done, 1 minute everybody's doing WordPress, and now they've moved to HubSpot because they've been taught that HubSpot is the best system since sliced bread. It probably is one of the better ones out there, but HubSpot is still a tool at the end of the day. And a lot of businesses, especially in the B2B space, have to squeeze their business into how that tool works rather than be able to shape the tool around the business, which is what we do.
Yeah, and that's how it should be done.
Of course they should.
Yeah.
That's how you grow exponentially,
Yeah. If you're thinking about rebranding, I want you to ask yourself, have we actually changed as a business? Are we attracting the wrong customers? And is our messaging unclear or generic? And if the answer is no, then you don't need a rebrand, you need a better revenue system.
Revenue system. That's exactly what every business needs.
Well, it does when you look at
Of course, that's
plumbing. When you look at plumbing, to get hot water, there's a hot water system, there's a cold water system, there's a system in your fridge to make sure that it cools down, there's a system in your toaster to make sure it heats up your toast.
There's a system to get you to
everything.
from A to B. It's called your car or public transport. And the public transport also has a system within it to make sure it goes round the right ways and at the right times and that kind of stuff. Your body as a system, it keeps you to a certain heat level and, keeps all the plumbing moving and that as well. Everything that works properly has got a system. And to be honest, every business has a revenue system. It's probably just not governed and it's likely fragmented.
Yeah. So what does a real rebrand look like for you? So before design, you need to focus on clarity. So that's who you serve, what you do, why it matters, and why you're different. And that positioning will drive everything: your marketing, your sales, your brand perception. Positioning is the foundation, design is just the expression.
That's exactly right. But I mean, the design is important and that should match everything else that's going along with it. We're doing exactly this for another client in Scotland who does golf tours, and he's moving from like a fragmented 12 different websites with 4 different languages on each and everything, and he's moving out to our platform, and he's working with us to help him drive more revenue. And already, how that's actually making a change to his business just by going through the brand development process, and how it's making him feel, where when there's systems in place and things are happening in a particular way, the clarity within the customer is just night and day,
Yeah.
and that clarity itself will be taken over to the website with the proper ICP defined, the positioning has already been done, the messaging strategy is in place, and when the content's in place, and we are creating that beautiful, absolute amazing customer experience, his business is going to flourish even more so right throughout the world, starting in the USA, of course. But it makes a big difference. It's going to make a massive difference to his brand.
And that's the thing, when you have internal clarity, you have external clarity as well. So it makes your customer experience so much better.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Yeah. So your messaging should be coming before you design. Your messaging should answer what problem you solve, who it's for, what outcome you deliver. And without this, then your design just becomes a bit of guesswork. A strong brand is understood quickly, like the swoosh for Nike. You can see that tick and go, yep, that's Nike. You can see the 3 diagonal lines and know that's Adidas.
Yeah. And the thing is, if people don't understand you, they won't buy for you. So if you make, and this is another reason why you need to keep things as simple as humanly you can, and this is why you need like a value proposition, so that when people come to your website and they see a hero page, they know exactly what as you do and who you do it for, and those people will self-select.
Yeah. So once your positioning and your messaging are clear, then your design should support that. So your design should match your audience, signal your positioning, and create consistency. And that good design will reinforce that clarity into your customer. It doesn't create it, it just reinforces it.
That's right. And it just helps with that customer experience as well. Big
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
The thing is, if that customer comes to your brand and has a fantastic experience, everything works for them, the messaging's correct, it's aimed at that particular customer, the customer will buy from you. Not just that one time, but over and over and over and over.
yeah,
And this is exactly what you need to do, because you need that retention in your business,
yeah.
in order to scale.
To increase that customer lifetime value.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
Now, the best way to approach a rebrand is to start with the right questions. So you need to ask, who are we really for? As in, who is it that we need to target? Who is it that we want to serve? What do we want to be known for? What's your point of view? What is it that you actually do? Why do you do it? And what are we moving away from? So for us, it was like, just being like a tactical agency, like the 100,000 other agencies out there. We've always been different. We've just not been able to express it in the better way. And I don't think our brand has been helping with that, even though we're still growing. But at the end of the day, clarity comes from asking better questions of your customers.
and I think even I think last year it was really muddy for us. Not muddy, but muggy, confusing for us to try and sell because we were a bit all over the place. Whereas this year, it's like, whoa, we've got our operating system, we've got the process that, we take everybody through. Now we're even more just defined on who we're targeting, why we're targeting them. Like it feels like, even in just the last month, that it's become so much clearer and so much easier to talk to people about what we do and why we do it.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's because we know what we're doing and who we're doing it for.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you need to align your business first. So before rebranding, make sure that you've had a look at your offer. Make sure you fix your offer if there's issues with it. Fix your sales process. You'll probably find in a lot of cases the sales process. Every business has a sales process, whether you know it or not. So make sure that you have a well-defined sales process. Everyone is going through that's involved in that sales process, and make sure you fix delivery. You can promise the world, but in my experience, especially with agencies and things, is that they promise you the world but deliver very little. So a rebrand should amplify what works, not hide what doesn't. So it shouldn't be hiding anything. It should be, your rebrand should be on point. There should be nothing to hide because you've been through the process. You've had everything worked out.
Yeah.
And one of the big things is, and we say this every single time, like even with a new client, you need to think long term. This isn't even with like campaigns. I mean, campaigns are generally short term, to be fair, but you need, from a business perspective, especially the CEO or the founder, is you need to think long term. A rebrand isn't just for what's happening now. It should support where the business is going. So, what are your 3, 5 year objectives, 10 years even? Um, who do you want to attract? Who do you want to actually work with? It's not everybody. I can tell you that right now.
No.
And how do you want to grow? Short-term thinking creates constant change in the business, and you don't want that. No, there is always constant change because that's what growth is all about. But you don't want to be just thinking, what's happening now? Ken, that we
Yeah.
need 10 leads in this month, that kind of stuff. As a CEO and the founder, you need to be thinking, or the revenue leader even, you need to be thinking more long-term, as that creates consistency.
Yeah, that short-term thinking creates erratic change where you're
Oh, it's a
just all over
nightmare.
the place, clutching at straws, just trying to, not,
And that's most businesses.
yeah. So before you rebrand your business, I want you to ask yourself, are we actually clear on who we are, who we serve, and why we matter? Because if you're not, our rebrand won't fix it. It will just hide it. So if you're thinking about rebranding your business, save this episode, come back to it, and run through it properly before you make that decision. And if you want more content around building a business that actually grows, make sure you're subscribed to the Adonis Effect. Cool. We'll see you
Cheers,
next week.
guys.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.